Yes, indeed. The moment we've all been waiting for since they announced this tournament. It is here. It is Total Hockey Now. It is Four Nations Face-Off Championship Day. Puck dropping here in about 3 hours or so away here. We've got an American and a Canadian here. We are well represented, and we're going to break that game down. Going to take a look at the Saturday slate as well, but it's all about one game, and it's the one that's happening tonight at TD Garden in Boston. That over there is at Fuzzy Chris 91, Christopher Merez. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard, and here we are. It's like the collision course we all knew that was happening at the beginning of the tournament. We thought Sweden could play tough. Finland maybe put up a tiny bit of a fight, but at the end of the day, we ended up where we all thought we were going to end up.
We did. This is what the entire hockey world wanted. This is what the hockey gods have provided us. They saw what the first matchup was about, and they were like, for once, the hockey guys were like, let's give them a little bit. Let's give them something else. So they came back. They provided us with a moment in time. And if you're going to have the opportunity to watch tonight, regardless of whatever side you're cheering for, this is a moment where you will remember where you were. Now, you may remember it for good or bad, but you will know. You will know. I, as a Canadian fan, I know exactly where I was in 2010 when Sidney Crosby scored his goal on my couch. So
same for me.
There you go. So you'll know where it is. You'll know where you are. This is a moment. This is what we wanted, and now we got it.
Now, I am in a very unfortunate position. Now, we've mentioned in the past, both Chris and I are rec league hockey players, whatever weeknight it is. My night's Thursday night. Now, usually you want that 7:30 puck drop. You want that first game of the night because you could still get to bed at a decent time. Oh, no. I'm 7:30 Pacific. So what that means for me is that when that second period ends, I have to drive to the rink. I'm going to keep the game on my phone. But let's face it, 7:30 is timing up right with the last 7 minutes of the game, probably. Yeah, I know some people are going to be like, skip the game. You can't bail on your team. Maybe one time only we'll have the phone on the bench with the coverage of the game. We may have to do that.
It's fair of you for still going. That's understandable. That's a noble thing to do. That's a veteran leadership, as I would say right there. I had commitments to go into the office today. It was voluntary, and I just said no. Once this game was there, I was like, hey man, I'll see you guys again. But I mean, I will never see for the inaugural Four Nations final matchup between Canada and the United States. So that's where I'm at.
And plus, you can't take the chance. Like, what if this is the day you get a flat tire, or you run over a nail or something like that? Like, this is not the day to test that. You can't do it.
No. As a hockey player, being superstitious, we try to do things the same way leading up to what has been successful. So I did not wear my Canada jersey. I didn't wear it in the one game that they lost, which was against the United States. So, here I am.
So yeah, sometimes listen, if you're on a winning streak, you drive to the rink the same exact way. You have the same drinks the day of. You try and eat the same meal. If you're on a losing streak, that means do everything different. Take the bus to the rink instead of taking it. Like, whatever you got to do. So I totally respect. You didn't have the jersey on last time. You got to go jersey on today. So every day, every little bit helps. They say it doesn't, but every little bit helps.
Look, it's not crazy if it works. Because I know some people are like, superstitions are not real. And I was like, well, hold on. If it works, it's science, right? Let's not get it twisted. If it doesn't work, well, then it means you're just not doing it right. So that's it.
I mean, I've got nothing to argue with there, but I mean, we should probably let's get to it here. I mean, let's talk about the games here. Let's get to what the meat and potatoes is for today. This is the whole plate here. This is the meat, the potatoes, and the vegetables here. These are recent odds over here that I looked up a little while before we went live today. Money coming in on Canada today is now they're both minus 110 on the money line. The over has definitely seen some money coming on today because that has dropped from 115 to plus 105. If you're looking on the puck line, if you really want to bet Canada plus a puck and a half, minus 278, go for it. I didn't include it there. But minus a puck and a half, if you think they're going to win by 2 tonight, plus 240. You think U.S. covers that puck and a half, it's plus 225. You think it's a regulation victory here, plus 140 for Canada, plus 145 for Team USA. So we take a look at that right there. let's do a proper primer here for the game here. So as you mentioned, it's a rematch. Going back to that first game, Binnington let in pretty soft goal. I don't think that's going to happen again tonight. So I mean, that kind of was where things kind of, not to say went off the rails for Canada because it was a close game, but that was not something they needed. That was not a way you wanted to start that game off. I know McDavid had the goal, but then Team USA comes right back down and answers, and away we go. Did not have Cale Makar last time. It's going to be huge for the 5-on-5 and the power play for Canada here. And let's face it, they didn't play their best hockey in the first game against Team USA. They certainly got their mojo back against Finland. I mean, you could see that coming from a mile away.
Yeah, they played. I mean, with the last 5 minutes of that game, probably want to delete from your memory when all of a sudden Finland figured out that they just had to shoot the puck a little bit more. I mean, Canada was in control of that game. They probably had a perfect start. You could have asked for better. They came out and they just took it to the Finns. Finland is a good team, and they looked outmatched. Canada was flying. They were dominating. They were getting pucks to the net, and there was no solution for Finland here. They fell behind, and it wasn't Kevin Lankinen's fault. There's nothing much he could have done here. He was just, Canada exposed that blue line, and they took advantage of just playing well as a team. Like, even it was tough. It was tough for Barkov. It was tough for some of those guys that you usually can count on. So give Canada credit. They came out, they played well. It was a statement game. I was never in doubt, regardless of all the goals at the end by Finland. Never a doubt. Just maybe we don't let that happen twice.
I mean, I was all over Canada puck line in that game, and I hit the over too. That one had to sweat out a little bit with that Finland comeback there. That worked out well. Yeah, I mean, there was no doubt that Canada was going to win that game and win that game big, and sets up what we got here today. As you know, I know you heard Milo in the background before. Maybe you hear my dog barking at, probably a package delivery guy. The nerve of him to bring a package to the porch that we ordered. How dare he? Yeah.
It's been snowing a lot here. I don't know. I mean, I know. So in America, what snow is it is water that falls from the sky.
We got plenty of snow here. Stop.
Okay. Well,
not in my part of the country, but plenty of places.
So for those of you who are north enough, you know what it looks like. But we got a lot of snow here. Milo's new thing is to bark at the cleaning crew. So those guys have been coming around over the last couple of days. Poor homie has no room in the backyard because he's about a knee high, and the snow is higher than my knee. So he's been going at it with the cleaning crew. But yeah, snow is the white stuff that falls and stays.
Now, speaking of the package, the UPS guy that put the package on my doorstep, one of the recipes for tonight is going to be occupying Connor Hellebuck's doorstep for Canada. They are going to have to create a ton of traffic in front of him. And I think tonight they'll be able to do that. When you got Makar back there, moving around, it certainly opens things up. And the other thing too is, listen, the United States blue line's in pretty good shape right now. Even despite the injuries to McAvoy and no Quinn Hughes. I know we got excited about that earlier in the week. Me too, always back. Well, he ain't going to be back for Team USA. He'll probably be back for Vancouver on Saturday night. We'll see. But it's not going to be Team USA tonight. So they're looking at Slavin, Faber, Sanderson, Werenski, Hannafin, and Fox there. Still a really rock-solid blue line that's going to be able to play the brand of hockey that we anticipate tonight. Are we going to get 3 fights in the first, 9 seconds? Probably not. Will we get a fight? Probably. But I would not anticipate this being a multi-card boxing event tonight.
Yeah, I don't know how much Brady and Matthew Tkachuk want to fight in this game. They're both, Matthew's a little bit banged up, Brady as well. I don't know how much they want to risk getting hurt from something. Not that it's meaningless, but you don't have to, right? You can come out and want to set the tone, right? But you can do it in a multitude of ways. You can throw a big hit. There's lots of guys out there who can throw their weight around. I don't expect a boxing card match 9 seconds in. I don't think that's what either team is looking for. They want to gain an edge, and I don't think that's the edge that can really set this one way or another. I think the person who is the happiest here is probably Jake Sanderson for knowing that he did not get poisoned. No mystery injury, because there were no shortage of jokes about how Jake Sanderson could have been, hurt for Quinn Hughes. What a whirlwind that was. Mike Sullivan saying he's coming, and then all of a sudden he's not. He was skating at practice, non-contact jersey that he's skating with. He was skating in a regular jersey. He's got the brace off his hand, couldn't get medically cleared. So that was a whirlwind. But that was the first lie that Mike Sullivan has told us. So maybe he was just trying to get everybody going. Maybe he's trying to get Canada to do something, because he was like, "Yeah, he's on his way," and Quinn was like, "No."
He trailed off. He didn't say to Vancouver. He just said he
was
on his way.
He was on his way. He was on his way to practice. That's where he was. So maybe Mike Sullivan only got half the message, and then the other half, maybe Bill Guerin sent it to him like he's a multi-texter, sends one sentence and then another one. Maybe the second one didn't deliver, and that's where he got confused.
Or maybe he meant to text Patrick Alvin and then accidentally texted Guerin, said, "I'm on my way." Guerin goes, "Oh, baby, he's on his way." Tell Sullivan, it's like that old game of telephone. By the time it gets back to you, it's a totally different story. So nonetheless, no Quinn Hughes tonight, but it's still a rock solid blue line there for Team USA. Other interesting note there with the forwards: Chris Kreider in, Kyle Connor appears to be out. So if that gives you an indication of the kind, I don't think anybody's expecting a high scoring game today. Not to say it can't end up that way, but I don't think either side is thinking this is going to be a track meet 6-4 kind of game.
That's an absolute galaxy brain here from Mike Sullivan. I mean, if it works out, great. But I mean, Chris Kreider bias aside, right? We all know how I feel about him specifically. I get that he came in, scored a goal, and everybody's a feel-good moment for Chris Kreider. He has had a miserable season, and Kyle Connor is a premier shooter. He can shoot the puck. He can generate offense. I know there are no shortage of elite players who can shoot the puck, but again, we don't know the health of Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, but I'm assuming they're not 100%. So I don't know how much time they're going to play, but I feel like making Kyle Connor sit, this might be one of the rare times Kyle Connor has found himself as a 13th forward at any time. So this is a elite shooter. He doesn't hurt you defensively either. He's not he's not a liability on the ice. So I do think this is an interesting choice. I understand what Kreider brings. I understand the role that he plays. I understand that he can tip pucks in front of the net. That's where he makes a living. But man, sitting him, I would have sat maybe somebody like Brock Nelson. You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't have, it wouldn't have changed much. But sitting Kyle Connor is definitely a choice.
I agree. I think with Kreider and Nelson, you have a similar kind of player. So, maybe you dress Kreider over Nelson. I will defend the decision for Sullivan due to this. He was the assistant coach on the Rangers during Tortorella's time there. He's very familiar with Chris Kreider can do in big games. And let's be real. Not to say that the Rangers aren't going to the playoffs this year and they don't have a chance at the Stanley Cup, but they certainly don't look like the team, at least heading into the the Four Nations break, that they were last year. Maybe maybe in the back of Kreider's mind, he knows this is probably my last real big game. Not to say that the Rangers don't think they could get to the Cup, but just being realistic, this could be the last big game of Chris Kreider's career. That's not a Stanley Cup playoff game. So, and who knows how far they get this year. So maybe Sullivan knows something from his time there, and is trying to tap into that. But I agree. I don't know if you need Kreider and Nelson on that line. You bring Connor there because, again, he is still a pure shooter. And just in case you do need that big goal late, not to say there's not a ton of firepower that you already have there, but it doesn't hurt to have a trigger man like Kyle Connor if you need that goal late. And now you don't.
I will say this, though. Team USA's third line there of JT Miller, Dylan Larkin, Matt Boldy looks really, really scary. JT Miller can play the wing. He can play the middle. He brings a little bit of that grit to his game. Dylan Larkin has been fantastic in this tournament for somebody who I feel kind of gets forgotten a lot. He's a really good player, and we just assume that he's not. And I think that he has earned his position, and he deserves to be there night in and night out. And Matt Boldy can finish. I mean, Matt Boldy, again, gets forgotten a little bit here, gets a little bit maybe shadowed by Kirill Kaprizov, but that is a line that can forecheck hard. That is a line that has skill. They have a quality shooter on it. That's a third line that can contribute. If you're a Team USA, you can roll three lines comfortably and not have to worry about any of them getting exposed. So there is some positive there. That fourth line doesn't inspire any confidence in me. I don't know how much they're going to play, but the rest of that the rest of that forward group is pretty good.
I think you'll see Trocheck sometimes get out there for times you need that, face-off draw. I mean, not to say the guys above him can't, but you can throw Trocheck out there as well. But I think they'll get, maybe 10 minutes if that last line, maybe in that 9-10 minute range. We'll see how Sullivan rolls the lines. We talked about the blue line already for Team USA. We'll get to Team Canada in a minute. Now, if there is some place where Team USA does have a decided advantage, it is in the crease with Connor Hellebuck. Now, if you are looking for a long view for Hellebuck here, I feel like a win tonight goes a long way to maybe having some more confidence come playoff time, which is something that has been a problem for Winnipeg in the past. Not necessarily his fault that they don't go far in the playoffs, but a win tonight can help down the line for that here. Do we worry? Is Connor Hellebuck? He's the X factor tonight, correct? Like he's the guy that's deciding this game. Does it really come down to that?
You got to break. Like if you're Canada, you're spending a lot of time looking at film, trying to find ways to get pucks by him, because you like the recipe. I feel is simple, right? You have to get traffic in front of him. If he sees the puck, he's going to stop it. He is there. He's a big body. He's calm. He's cool. He's collected. He gives this team an opportunity to win because they know that they don't have to score 4 goals tonight to win. 2 is good enough. Connor Hellebuck is going to stand on his head and do whatever he needs to do. And Canada has to make that difficult. And it's maybe not the style of game that they want to play. Bodies in front of the net, trying to create stuff, but you have to find a way to get there. It's going to be, some of those goals are probably not going to be elite shots from outside of the dot. You have to get in his kitchen. You got to make life difficult. That's where the Brad Marchands of the world are going to start earning their money. You got to be right up in his kitchen, and you got to make it difficult. They also got to make it difficult for Slavin and Faber. Slavin, I know, played, I believe, with McAvoy. McAvoy's out due to his shoulder injury. They shut down McKinnon. They shut down McDavid, which is a tough task to do. But if the United States, all they have to do is replicate what they did that first time around, which is let those elite players not get any speed through the neutral zone, keep them to the outside, take away time and space. Don't give them an inch, because that's all they need. Connor McDavid needs half an inch and he will burn you. You have to make life difficult. Physical on the body, keeping them to the outside, nothing in the middle of the ice.
Jacobs, I've mentioned on this show a couple of times where there needs to be a defensive defenseman award to go along with the Norris. Jacob Slavin would be like, the way Kopitar and Barkov are always nominated for the Selke. Slavin you pencil him in for a nomination every year. That's what, like you said, I had a hell of a performance against Team Canada the other game. Losing McAvoy. They have a strong enough blue line to compensate for the loss of McAvoy, but he had been playing his best hockey of the season. He was bringing the physical edge. He was laying the body. They, like I said, they have the personnel to fill the void, but losing a guy like that stinks. Now, looking over on the Team Canada side, no real roster changes here, although, like we said, Cale Makar in for this lineup was not last time around for Team USA. And for better or worse, Jordan Binnington, they wrote him, they're going to ride him the tournament. John Cooper stuck with him. And you know what? That wasn't a move that I agreed with or you agreed with, but it ended up working out. And here we are. And I don't think Binnington's going to give up that easy one that he gave up in the first game. I think that tonight, if it is going to be that more of that grind it out defensive hockey, get pucks deep, create traffic in front of the net, in front of Hellebuck, I think the game is going to end up morphing that way in the other end. And, we'll see how Canada handles that. But like you said, Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett going to earn their paychecks tonight. Also, Seth Jarvis in the lineup for Travis Konechny. No coincidence there.
Yeah, let's start with Jordan Binnington. I mean, look, that's why you and I sit on our couch and watch the game, and we are not lawyers who coach in the NHL. So John Cooper clearly knows what he's doing. He was true to his word. It was Jordan Binnington's net until he felt like he couldn't handle it. And there was no moment where he felt like he couldn't. And Jordan Binnington is actually, if you look at the advanced numbers, his high danger scoring chance efficiency is off the charts. So when those difficult shots are coming, he's stopping the puck. It's everything that's low danger that seems to be hurting him, which is ironic because it should be the other way around. But for me, that says that those are controllables, because the low danger ones mean that if it was the opposite, you're like, look, a good shot is a good shot. It just is what it is. But for me, Jordan Binnington, it's not a question of having to outperform Connor Hellebuck, but he has to be at the task. He just has to be better. He has to be the reason that he gives Canada a chance to win this game. He cannot be the guy who gives up a soft one. It's a very thin line for him. It's one goal is enough. You saw it last game. He gave up an early one, and it just kind of there wasn't enough wheels there. Do I think Canada can play better offensively? Yes, and that they can handle. Couple of things up front that I like. Braden Point's been added to that top line with McDavid. Some of you think Braden Point is slow. That is not the case. Mark Stone is, but Braden Point is not. And when you give another speedster with McDavid, now you have a lot going on here. You have a lot of skill. Crosby and McKinnon, there's no reason to split them up. Sam Reinhart is there. The addition of Mitch Marner to Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli is good. Cirelli and Hagel are kind of gritty players. They go deep in the corners. They're willing to battle it out. There needs to be some skill on that line, and Mitch Marner brings that. He's the skill. And I know some people want to tell me that he hasn't played well and whatnot. And I can't believe I'm defending Mitch Marner, but he did score a big goal against Sweden, just in case somebody forgot. So he is there. He's a great facilitator. Hagel could put the puck in the net, by the way. So I think that line works out well. Like you said, Marchand, Bennett, Jarvis. Marchand and Bennett, I don't expect Marchand maybe to be down there in the bottom six too long, depending on what Canada needs. Right, Marchand has a value here, but he's got to go to the front of the net. He's got to make life difficult. Bennett is great defensively. Jarvis adds a little bit of offense, and that D line is mostly that top four. I mean, Taves and Makar out there a bunch. Morrissey and Parenko. I don't know how much I want to see Sanheim and Doughty on the ice. Doughty has looked average at best. The tournament seems a little bit fast for him. He's been out there sometimes. It hasn't been great, but to me, this is Canada trying to expose the United States with speed through the middle of the ice. You have to let McKinnon and McDavid and Point and the rest of the gang just wheel in there. Get everybody to back up, find some space, shoot the puck, get one of those little greasers, tip in front of the net. We know Crosby, his hand-eye coordination's off the charts. I think if Crosby played baseball, he'd probably be a 300 hitter.
Yeah, for sure. Like maybe you put him in the 2 spot in the lineup now. I don't know. Maybe nowadays they put more of a power hitter there. I don't know. Baseball's fallen by the wayside for me. But unlike Team USA, where that fourth line is not going to get as much attention, as much time, Canada really could roll 4 lines here because you're going to send a Marchand, Bennett, Jarvis. You're going to try and get that matchup against the Matthews line whenever you can. I mean, last change is going to go to United States tonight, so they're going to have to Cooper's going to have to get creative with that. I mean, to kind of like bottom line it here, Team Canada's probably got the advantage up front. Team USA has the advantage in the net, and then blue line, Canada's got a better top heavy side, but Team USA is deeper and able to roll all 3 pairings. Where, like you said, Sanheim and Doughty is going to be that get him out there for a few minutes to spell your top 4 kind of deal.
Correct. And I mean, the wild card here is Cale Makar. We didn't see him against the United States, and he facilitates the puck. These are all guys that, especially the top 6 here, puck possession guys. They want the puck on their stick, and they want it a lot. So you can't be in trouble defensively if the puck is on your stick. You just have to make sure it's on your stick and it's in front of you. Defensively, the same thing. You have to. These are guys who want to possess the puck. Taves, Morrissey, Makar. I get that maybe Parenko's not as much of a puck hog. Doughty most certainly isn't. But it's just about, you don't have to go out there and try to win it. Those are not the guys that need to win it. Defensively, just be good. Be smart. Know what you got to do. Get it out. Live another day. And then let your big boys take care of business. Let your McDavids, your McKinnons, your Crosbys, and your Reinharts and your Points, let those guys find the back of the net. That's their job. Let them do it. You just be good defensively. Clear everything out. No second chances. Box out. Just play hockey.
Start the rush, but look to pass off quick, and it's okay to sag a little bit. I mean, yeah, you want to keep up with the play, but again, like you said, Canada's job on the blue line tonight is, unless your name is Cale Makar, don't get caught. Don't create any odd man opportunities for Binnington, because it's not Hellebuck out there to bail you out. That is the X factor like we talked about. Cale Makar, Connor Hellebuck. Those are probably your 2 X factors for tonight. Now let's take a look at the MVP odds here. Looking on the right side, obviously Hellebuck plus 250, and then it gets real long for everybody else. Team USA, you see some 14-1s there with Gensel, Eichel, and Werenski. 16-1 for Matthew Tkachuk, 20-1 for Brady Tkachuk, and then Boldy and Larkin are 75-1. Looking on Team Canada, a little more variety there. McDavid plus 300, Crosby plus 450, McKinnon plus 800, and then you get 100-1 odds for all of the following here: Mark Stone, Jordan Binnington, Cale Makar, Braden Point, Brad Marchand, Austin Matthews, Sam Ryder, and Mitch Marner. Now we're each gonna pick an MVP candidate for both United States and Canada, and we're also gonna pick a goal scorer for each side after we do this. Now, looking at MVP, yeah, the whole tournament gets factored in, but let's real. It's gonna be who has the best game. This is really the MVP of the game. This is not a tournament award. They can say it. It really isn't. For me, if I'm gonna put money on anybody on Team Canada, I'm gonna take the long shot with Binnington, because if they win, he's gonna have to play very well. And maybe, it's enough. I mean, I know that's a tough sell when you got named like, Crosby can, go off into the sunset with an MVP. He had 3 assists earlier in the tournament. Obviously, McDavid and McKinnon are going to have an impact. But I really think if Canada wins, it's going to be because Binnington stood on his head and maybe he steals it.
That's fair. I would probably go here with McKinnon. McKinnon has scored some pretty big goals in this tournament. And I know he gets the long odds here just because, like you said, Crosby has been very efficient considering his age. McDavid is McDavid, so there's no reason to believe that he can't come out and have himself a great game. I just feel like Nathan McKinnon has been consistent. He's been scoring goals. He's been factoring. He's everything you want Nathan McKinnon to be. So plus 800 is a pretty good odd there. I can't see anybody else down there really taking it away from him. It's unfortunate that like Makar missed a game, because then maybe you could have a conversation about it. But to me, it's probably for Canada, it's one of those 3, and I think McKinnon by default offers you the best value.
So there you go. So McKinnon, and I got, Binnington if they win and he stands on his head. Looking at the Team USA side, it's really tough to go against Hellebuck. The only way I think he does not win this award is if it does turn into a track meet tonight, and then it's going to be whichever teams, had the biggest offensive production from their player. If you're looking for a skater, I think it's got to be Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, it's on the longer side. If he has an impact, I know he's going to be playing banged up tonight, but I have a feeling once the puck drops, whatever is ailing them is going to be forgotten about real quickly. He's on a line with Eichel, Jack Eichel, more than capable of doing all the work and then making it easy for Brady or Matt to finish. Maybe Eichel, somebody you look at there, maybe he steps up and becomes more of a one source kind of player there, with Tkachuk and both the Tkachuk boys doing the work. But with all the press behind the Tkachuks, the way the game started, it would, if Matthew Tkachuk has any sort of offensive influence on the game tonight, it would be very tough to go against him unless if Hellebuck lets in more than 2 goals, I'll say, then I could go to a skater. If it's 2 or less, then I still think it's Hellebuck.
Yeah, Connor Hellebuck is the easy choice here, because if you figure if the United States win a close game, it's because of him, and he has been nothing short of brilliant in this tournament, as he should have been. So that's not really changing anything. I will take a long shot here, and it's going to be Dylan Larkin. Ooh. He has played well in this tournament. He did score against Canada. He's not a household name. I think the Matthew and Brady Tkachuk, yes, outside of the fight and everything that they bring, is like hockey's still about scoring goals, and Larkin has been able to do that, and he scored some big ones. You could even take Jake Gensel at that point. He had 2 goals against Canada, right? So it depends how. I think this is voted by like the press or something. So those guys like goals. They like sometimes a good story behind it, yes. But if we're talking about goals and we're talking about Connor Hellebuck, I don't know, not getting it. Though to me, Jake Gensel, yes, makes sense because he scored, but definitely Dylan Larkin. He keeps getting forgotten. He's on a really good line tonight. If that line has some success and he plays well, he has done a fantastic job in this tournament. It's a long shot, yes. But maybe, I don't know, maybe a 5er. See what you get out of it.
All right, so there we go. Going with the long shot there, Dylan Larkin. But yeah, again, this is assuming that this turns into. I think Connor Hellebuck has to give up more than 2 goals and still win for him to not be the MVP at this point. I mean, he's been the guy, and it's been evident. But again, Matthew Tkachuk, maybe a little bit more of an offensive flair than Brady. They get in the press with everything. So we'll see how it happens. It all depends on how the game goes, and that's the beauty of it here. Now we're going to pick an anytime goal scorer there, and then throwing that up again, and then we'll make our picks for tonight. Who's a guy from Canada that you could see putting the puck in the net, and give me somebody from the United States that you could see putting in the puck tonight?
Anytime goal scorer goes to Nathan MacKinnon. He's done it consistently. I don't know why he would not be able to do it tonight. There's some pretty good value on him. I think that's pretty good. He's in there. I know it would be easy to pick Connor McDavid because he has done it. He's the only one who was able to beat Connor Hellebuck the first time. So that feels like an easy one. But if I'm looking for a little bit of value here, Nathan MacKinnon. Yeah, I mean, Crosby is just so good. Crosby's so good at finding him on the, finding his stick. Canada hasn't seen a ton of power plays. Power plays cooled off a little bit, but if they're going to keep MacKinnon on that left side in the trigger spot, then that works out well because McDavid's going to try to circle the ice, find his space. Crosby down low, right? That's where you want to. If you're going to let MacKinnon one time it, good things are going to happen.
MacKinnon, a plus 190 anytime goal scorer. If you think he's going to light the lamp first tonight, it's 10-1. So that's your Team Canada pick for anytime goal scorer. If I'm going to take, and Satyr Survival is checking in, wants to know any sleepers. I wouldn't quite call it a sleeper, but Cale Makar at what, plus 600 here, anytime goal scorer. We talk about that traffic in front that they're going to need to create in front of Hellebuck. Yeah, Makar's the guy that brings it up and makes everything happen, but the puck can find his way back to him at the point. Get some traffic in front. Maybe Canada works to, they got guys that all have shots. I would not be against a defenseman scoring tonight. And if you're going to pick a defenseman to score anytime goal scorer, give me Cale Makar. I'll take that at plus 600 for Canada.
That is very fair. If you're looking for, again, sleepers completely, I would target the entire USA third line. I think all of them. Well, okay, no, maybe not JT Miller. My apologies, JT Miller, not you. But Dylan Larkin, Matt Boldy, again, that line is good. That Boldy has scored before. It's right there. It's right there, and they're going to get forgotten. And that to me is a line that you can't give them as much space. It's deep. This USA offense is deep. So if you're Canada, you still have to match up against them. And maybe they get a couple of shifts out there against Sam Hine and Doughty, which are not pushing the puck up the ice. So maybe they get a little bit more offensive time. Those are the long shots I would take. Those, Boldy and Larkin. Larkin did it already. So why can't he do it twice? I don't want him to do it, but if you think he can.
Dylan Larkin plus 550 anytime goal scorer there, so certainly not a bad way to go. You're looking at Boldy, it's plus 475. I will say longer Team USA goal scorer here. Looking up and down the list, you talk about that third line there with Team USA with JT Miller, Dylan Larkin, and Matt Boldy. I'm going to look at the third line here for Canada. Another guy I want to consider is Mitch Marner on that Hagel-Sorelli line. Because he's sitting right now, where is he sitting? Plus 450. So it's another Canadian I want to throw in. For Team USA, maybe a Jack Eichel. If, they're still going to play that line. If the Kachucks are banged up, maybe they're going to try and be the facilitators and Eichel will be the finisher. So, not necessarily a long shot, but plus 310 there. If you really want a Team USA long shot, Adam Fox at plus 850. Maybe he gets a shot from the point. Maybe that's a way to go there. But Brock Faber's playing on that top pairing with Jacob Slavin. So at plus 1800, maybe the puck finds his way on his stick and he throws it in. Those would be a couple of ways I would consider if you're looking for some longer odds there.
I didn't think we'd be saying positive things about Mitch Marner, but I mean, here we are.
So you're rooting for Brad Marchand tonight to be a prick. You're all about Mitch Marner lighting the lamp tonight. I mean, I know country comes first, but I mean, and I'm able to, the analogy I give is, in 96, loved John LeClair, Philadelphia Flyer, but obviously couldn't root for him as a Ranger. When he played for Team USA, yeah, LeClair, it gives you a chance to root for guys that you normally would, not want to be helping out.
You know what the one constant is? I can still hate Chris Kreider. So the world is still fine. That's what it is. I'm glad he's playing tonight so I can hate him. I want him to stay far away from Jordan Binnington and his knees. So just, keep Kreider away from him.
All right, so it's time to make our picks, and then we'll take a look at the Saturday slate here. One last time, are we looking at anything on the money line tonight? Are we looking at a total, a puck line, a regulation? What do we got?
The over seems like a nice number just because even if you're down 3-1, you're still going to pull the goalie. Like, how many times can you keep pulling it until you hope? Like, look at Finland, right? I mean, that pretty much helped push the over, and it took 55 minutes to get there. But if you're losing, you're not waiting until the last minute to pull your goalie. You need goals. That there's no tomorrow. So it doesn't matter if you lose 2-1 or 6-1. A loss is a loss. Like an L is an L. So I think there's some value on the over there. And by default, if you're scoring in an empty net, there's a good chance you're going to cover the puck line. So then it's basically like be a homer. But if you're going to go out, go all the way. Either Canada minus 1.5 or USA 1.5. The team that wins is probably going to win by more than one goals. I can't imagine this game going past 60 minutes. I have a hard time believing that.
Wow.
I just don't think so. I think this gets settled in regulation.
I don't know if we could handle it as a continent with that game going overtime.
I can't. My heart at the old age of 34 can no longer handle overtime on the biggest stage in the world. Can't do it.
And by the way, thank you for not pulling out the golden goal Crosby video before when you were catching some strays on X before. Thank you for not, I mean, I ended up seeing it anyway a little while ago. But that, I thought that was nice of you. They're not, you threatened it, you reminded us of it, but you didn't actually drop the hammer, and that was nice of you.
I'm just saying, I have a ton of bookmarks because a lot of you have been running around saying things since since Canada lost to the United States. And now, not to get all deep here, but a lot, some of these people are people who have never watched hockey before, and all of a sudden they care because it's political. But some of you have been running, and I've taken notes. I'm like Ryan Howard in The Office, that he's writing in his black book. I've taken some notes, so I'm telling you from now. If you follow me on X, and Canada wins, and you're an American, I just like if you unfollow, that's fine, right? Or if you mute, you probably should, because it's going to get unhinged. So you've been warned. I'm just saying that if Canada wins, just be ready. Be ready. That's it.
All right.
So we're just going to let it go.
Chris has made his picks. He's made his feelings known about the total. He likes the over, and he likes Canada on the puck line because if he thinks there's going to be an empty net goal, that'll get you there. Certainly makes a lot of sense. Regarding the total, I would agree 5.5. I think because you might get a couple there, and then you push that empty net. So I would lean over. I mean, a lot of money's coming in on that today. So that's what the public, the sharp money was probably on the under early. A lot of money coming in on the over today. I would still lean that for an actual game pick. And I say this as somebody who loves his country. I don't know if you could see that right there. I have an eagle tattooed on my arm with an American flag. That's from 2002, post 9/11. I love my country. But that being said, when you make picks with money, you don't pick with this. Pick with your heart. With your head, pick with your eyes. Sometimes you go to your gut. Sometimes that needs to be the deciding factor. There's a lot. Everything has been going just way too well for Team USA. I mean, yeah, I know they've been dealt with some, a little bit of bumps and injuries here, there. They didn't get the best version of Team Canada. They didn't have the best defenseman on the planet as part of their roster, or at least the best offensive defenseman on the planet, if you want to split hairs. They didn't have that guy last time. I think you're going to get a slower paced, grind it down kind of game. Yeah, there's going to be bursts because these guys are just too fast for that not to happen and have some rushes. It's going to be some grinded out hockey. Both teams are capable of playing that, but I'm going to take, I agree. It's not going to go into overtime. I think Canada gets the job done in 60 minutes, plus 140 there. I agree with the puck line theory, but I don't know if I could bet minus a puck and a half. And that's the alt puck line for Canada. Like I said before, you want to bet plus a puck and a half at minus 278 for Canada, be my guest. But it's not it's just, again, anybody that roots for a bad team. I'm a New York Jets fan in football. He's an Atlanta Falcons fan in football. We've both bet against our team. You have to, it just happens. I think things have been going a little too well for Team USA. And I think you got a pissed off Canada that knows they didn't play their best time first time around, weren't at full bore. They've been hearing everything all week about Team USA, all this and that. I don't know. I think we're going to get it. I think we're getting an angry Canadian team tonight. We're going to drop the gloves 3 times in 9 seconds kind of deal. But I think Canada prevails. I know history has no bearing on this, but anytime it's been on a medal round, with the exception of the '96 World Cup, Canada just finds a way. So I'm not happy with that pick, but over in Canada puck line are going to be the two I go with here. With puck drop about 2 hours away, a little over 2.5 hours away.
Adam's a Canada fan. That's what we understood here. That's what we understood. 4-2 Canada. That's it. Just easy peasy like that.
I will say, in my morning pancakes, there was no maple syrup today. No, and I know Vermont makes some good maple syrup too, but there was no maple syrup on the pancakes today.
Wow.
Couldn't have it.
That sounds, even if you did have maple syrup, where would you have gotten it from?
I mean, I will say Canadian maple syrup is just, it is a cut above everybody else's. I mean, like I said, Vermont's is good. But
it's Vermont's is fine, but it's not Quebec maple syrup. It's not the same. So it was probably better for you not to put any anyways, because whatever you guys have there is just sugar water.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you didn't really lose anything out of it, right? But yeah, I don't want to hear that Vermont maple syrup and Quebec maple syrup is the same, because it's not. It's not the same. It's different. It is what it is. I'll fight you to it.
It's an adequate substitute if that's all you got.
Yeah, that's good enough. It'll do the job, but it's not the creme de la creme.
Oh, and listen, sometimes you just got to admit when somebody's got you beat, and when it comes to maple syrup, you got us beat. No fault there. So we're gonna do a little, we're gonna look at the Saturday schedule here, and obviously goaltending matchups and stuff like that. Not out yet, but we're gonna try and look for some leans and things like that here as we move along here, and we might just skip over some games that neither of us really have anything to say about. And we're going to go in chronological order. So the first game to bring us out of the Four Nations break going to be a 12:30 Eastern puck drop between the Minnesota Wild and the Detroit Red Wings. This is a stay away for me. I mean, I got no read on this. You got a good Minnesota Wild team that's been banged up versus a Red Wings team that had been playing better. I got nothing here.
Do not care about the Red Wings in general. Will not start caring about them now. This one, it just seems too even. Also, you have to take into consideration some of these players who have played for the country now, they're going back to their teams. How much they haven't had a ton of rest, So how does that play into it? How do guys Dylan Larkin come back, and how do they Lucas Raymond on the other side? How does it feel? You know what I mean? How's their energy? So I don't know.
So I was thinking about that before we came on the air today. If you're a goaltender that's been playing in the tournament, that means you have game speed, you've been staying limber, and those are guys I would back. But I feel like, both guys that are playing tonight, like Jordan Binnington's not going to play against Winnipeg on Saturday, and I don't think Connor Hellebuck's going to play on Saturday, although that would be something. You play Saturday and you get the rematch, although I think you're going to get a Comrie Hoffer there. Give those guys a night off. When it comes to skaters, I think Finland and Sweden, it's irrelevant at this point. These guys are already probably back with their teams and, getting back into the flow of things. Depending upon who wins tonight, if Team USA wins tonight, they're going to be partying. And then they're going to have to get what they have to get tomorrow, and then they got to play on Saturday. So a team like the Rangers that has 3 guys on Team USA, and if USA wins, I might look at the Sabres money line. Now, if they lose, no, that theory goes out the window, because they ain't going to be partying tonight. They're going to get dressed out of their gear. They're going to do their media obligations and then get off to wherever their next game is, whether that's home or on the road. So that is one area I would target. Now, Tampa Bay, if Canada won, you got a lot of lightning on the team, but Tampa Bay's got an extra day off. They don't play till Sunday. So the theory doesn't really hold there. But had Tampa Bay been playing Saturday and Canada wins, I would absolutely be. Who's Tampa Bay playing on Sunday? I forget off the top of my head, but that's the point. So I'm going to would look at the Buffalo Sabres money line there. You got any read on this game?
I would still, first of all, JT Miller probably, if they lose, probably going to fight one of his teammates or something. Sure. Even if they do win, he doesn't seem like a guy who likes to have a ton of fun. So I still can't trust the Buffalo Sabres, man. The whole Rangers squad could be drunk and it wouldn't make a difference. The Buffalo is just so bad. I don't want anything to do with them. If anything, Tage Thompson's gonna he's in town just in case something happens for Team USA. Flu bugs going around, and he could, I don't know, slip on a piece of ice coming out of his hotel and be out week to week. So that's the type of luck the Buffalo Sabres have. So I still wouldn't trust them. If anything, I would take the Rangers then.
And another
especially after a loss. If they're after a loss, Chris Kreider might, come back, like you said, motivated. JT Miller might just, run through a wall or something. So the Rangers are still a better team overall. Sabres are just terrible.
Now, just as a general rule here, I'm looking at all the totals for Saturday, and I only count two 6.5s. Everything else is 5.5 on Saturday. There's 14 games, so there's 12 5.5s there. I feel like if goalie, I might lean just as an overall strategy more over than under, just because a lot of these goalies have not seen anything but practice speed stuff for the bulk of the 2 weeks here. So if there's an overall theory, I would say over under there. So that's Rangers Sabres. We also got Oilers Flyers in an afternoon game on Saturday. Any leans there?
Flyers probably lose. I just don't know if I want to put so much money on the Oilers.
I mean, how many Oilers you got in this tournament right now? You got McDavid.
Yeah, but McDavid's superhuman, so he doesn't count.
It doesn't matter.
Victor Arvidsson, yes, he did play because everybody was sick. It's a lot. Maybe the Oilers in regulation, because again, the Flyers are bad. So that's probably where I would go. Maybe a little bit like you were saying about the over. Is this one feels like a 6.5 over, doesn't it?
This one is a 6.5 over plus 110 the over, under minus 130.
I was like, can you imagine if we got this at 5.5? Then we could have put the mortgage on the over, and we could have all ended up in Cabo, and we could have watched this tournament from there. But instead, that's not going to happen. Maybe the under. I know it's not a great spot, but maybe the Oilers don't score as much. Flyers most certainly aren't scoring a ton, so that's maybe it.
All right, we move on to the next one on the Saturday slate. Capitals at Penguins. My lean on this one is Capitals puck line minus a puck and a half plus 164. I think we know Pittsburgh's not a great team. Crosby's been playing for Team Canada. Maybe you get a little bit of a, depending upon how tonight's games go, maybe he's a little sluggish, banged up. And I think, a guy like Alex Ovechkin that's just been chomping at the bit for a week and a half in the middle of a goal pursuit there. I think, and also you got Logan Thompson coming out. Maybe he's a little miffed that he was not selected for Team Canada. I don't know. I think this could be a big Capitals win on Saturday. If you are looking at the total, over 5.5 minus 120, under plus 100.
I would probably go with the over here. Penguins, yes, they do have, Crosby comes back. They're slowly getting healthy. I think Malkin is supposed to return. So that's a piece that's added. I don't know the status about Brian Rust yet, but if he's added to the lineup, then there's some pieces that start to come back. And this team starts to look a little bit more decent than what they look like before the break. So that's probably where I would go. Probably an over here. Definitely the Capitals can score. They can light the lamp. It would feel even better. Maybe they recall Tristan Jarry because he's figured it out. He played in the AHL, figured it out, comes back. It's absolutely obliterated. That would be kind of good too. But I would probably lean on the over here.
All right. So we got an over there for Capitals Penguins. I like the Capitals on the puck line. Next up, Kraken Panthers here. No strong leans for me. I mean, maybe if you want to look at the under 5.5 plus 105, overs minus 125. A couple of defensive teams here. Bobrovsky, I would assume, is going to get the start out of the gate there. You do have a Matthew Tkachuk that's going to be banged up, maybe. Depending upon what happens tonight, maybe even Florida doesn't play him Saturday, depending upon how he is. So things to consider there. Mostly a stay-away game, but I would consider the under.
I would have considered the under too. It's going to depend on what happens to Tkachuk. It's going to, the rest of the guys there. What is that lineup going to look like? I mean, Seattle's not really good offensively. Could care less about them.
Moving on to Colorado, Nashville. Colorado minus 135 at the Predators plus 114. Total over 5.5 minus 122, under plus 102. I've got nothing on this one. You're going to have McKinnon and McCarr coming back from playing in the tournament there. So, again, no strong leans early this far out for me.
Probably the Avalanche. The Predators are still a terrible hockey team. I don't know if you guys, again, through no fault of UC Saros, right? But, he didn't look great in this tournament, and it's not his fault. But now he's going back to a team that has, I don't even know if they have a worse defense, but it's not great. So, I would probably take the Avalanche. That's what I like there. You can take them straight up on the money line. I think it's 135 is decent. I think that number should probably be a little bit higher. If you want to get a little spicy and take them in regulation, if you're willing to eat some of it to get closer to even money, sure. But I That's tough, man. That's tough. The Predators should be heavy underdogs here, and it feels a little too close to my liking.
If you did want the Avalanche on the regulation line, it's plus 120. Looking on the puck line here for Colorado, if you think they cover, it's plus 190. So
plus
maybe not a bad
120. That is quite the value there. Okay.
120 regulation, 190 on the puck line. So we'll see what happens there. Now, this is next up on the docket. I've got no play on this, but this is one of two games of the day on Saturday. You got the Stars and the Devils. Here's Devils a little banged up. No Markstrom yet. But, I think you'll have a good this will be a fun one to watch. I think if there is a lean, I'd probably go under 5.5 plus 100. The over is minus 120. I could see, Jake Ottinger probably will get the start on Saturday because he's only played once in this tournament. So I can't imagine they're going to give him a break out of the gate the way the next game we're going to talk about is. But no, other than the under, no real lean here.
Just a good game to watch. Good Saturday afternoon, kind of on your TV. Get to see the Devils and Stars. Good matchup. I just don't know how that's gonna play around yet. So, and there's other, like I said, there's a ton of games on, so you don't have to break the bank on something you're not sure on.
Exactly, 14 game Saturday. Jets Blues. We mentioned this earlier. There is the potential for a Binnington Hellebuck rematch on Saturday. More likely, I think you're going to get Comrie and Hoffer for these two teams. If that is the case, where you do get a battle of backups here, Comrie's been playing well lately. Hoffer is not. Give me Winnipeg minus a puck and a half plus 170. If you get the battle of backups here, that is one pick I do like this far out. If that is what happens,
I want to see chaos. So I want to see Hellebuck and Binnington go at it again. Maybe Binnington could fight Hellebuck. Maybe they don't fight tonight. Maybe they fight Saturday instead. Maybe they're on the same plane since they're going to the same spot. Maybe that could be fun. I don't know. Maybe they fight on the plane. Who knows? But if those two play, then the under is where I would go. But like you said, if it's the battle of the backups, the Jets win. I don't see the Blues coming out here with any type of care.
If you happen to be on a St. Louis bound flight out of Logan Airport in Boston, just keep an eye on first class. See if you got a couple of guys that are eyeing each other, sizing each other up a little bit. Listen, I understand. There's that old saying in hockey, you beat up each other on the ice and you get in a beer afterwards, with the same guy you were just throwing punches with. And that is true mostly, but not with Jordan Binnington. I don't think anybody wants to have a beer with him, especially Hellebuck. So there we go. There's the for Jets Blues. Blackhawks Blue Jackets here. Blackhawks plus 160, Blue Jackets minus 192. This is the other game where you have a 6.5 total here, and that makes sense. Over minus 105, under minus 115. Blue Jackets much better team at home than they are on the road. If you wanted to maybe look at them getting a 60-minute line, if you think on the puck line, it's plus 136 on a 60-minute line for Columbus. If you think they take care of business, minus 120. I would lean over in this game, but I'm not taking anything.
Blue Jackets in a regulation. The Hawks still can't win on the road. Columbus is just so good at home. I don't know what they eat when they're in their own, when they're in their own house, when they sleep in their own bed. They just play better. So that's the only way I would go for it in regulation. I can't imagine the Blackhawks being relevant on the road.
We got Ducks Bruins, another one that I'm not, there's a chance I want to lean on the Ducks money line here just because they were playing better hockey going into the break. And Boston, maybe not so much. But again, this is probably a stay away spot here. Like you said, 14 games on Saturday. No reason to force something here. I would assume Swayman's going to play. He hasn't, he dressed for the game the other night for Team USA. But I think this is nothing really here for me.
No, can't get behind the Ducks, especially on the road. Can't do that. No.
Got the Canadians and the Senators. This is the one that Chris is going to be watching here. Ottawa, Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, Linus Ullmark, all guys that have played in the tournament. Brady's probably going to be banged up. Again, same situation like Matthew Tkachuk. They're going to play tonight, but, maybe they get a night off on Saturday if something's ailing them a little too much. What's your read here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Montreal Canadiens in regulation. Like you said, Brady might be a little bit banged up. The Ottawa Senators are still the Ottawa Senators. The Canadians, they didn't have a ton of players go over. They didn't have a ton of, Maldenbo didn't play. Yoel Armia was busy, pushing Charlie McAvoy into the post. So, they didn't really have a ton of guys set out to do a bunch. So that team's mostly rested. Everybody's got some time. They're all, they're all healed, all the little bumps and bruises, and we know the Montreal Canadiens like to collect that. So I think they'll be the relatively healthy team. I know they've gone through a skid. And if you care, Marty St. Louis shaved his beard. So I don't know what that means, but at one point he was letting it grow and they won. Maybe the luck ran out, so he shaved, and then maybe starts it again. I don't know. You can read into it as you wish, but sometimes when you're losing, you just have to shave, and it'll change everything.
That's the facial hair report here on Total Hockey Now from Martin St. Louis. Chris mentioned a regulation win for the Canadiens, plus 210 if you think they'll take care of business in 60. I actually like that money line play at plus 150 just in case it goes to the extra session. Here's the other game of the day on Saturday. Hurricanes, Maple Leafs. Hurricanes slight road favorites here, minus 115. The Toronto, minus 105. If you're looking on the total, over 5.5, minus 120, under plus 100. No real lean here for me, but this is a one I would be if it's not my primary game, it's definitely going to be my flip back game.
Yeah, I don't want to take an action on the Maple Leafs yet, just because I don't know if Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander, all those guys are going to play. And I know Craig Berube today said if they're healthy, they will. But it's not even about just physical health. We know that, especially for Team Sweden, the flu bug was going around. There were so many guys who couldn't play in that third game. And I just I don't know. And so if you think that maybe they'll sit, then it's time to buy in on the Hurricanes money line now, because that number will explode at some point. And if you believe that all the Maple Leaf players, superstars, are going to play, then I think the Maple Leafs are the way to go.
There we go. That one should be enjoyable regardless if you got action on it or not. 2 more games to go here. Well, the only 2 West Coast games and the only 2 games west of Nashville happening on Saturday. We got the Utah Hockey Club plus 105 at the Kings minus 180, over 5.5 minus 102, under minus 118. For me, I'm looking at the Kings in regulation here. It's already down to minus 1. It's already at minus 115. It's probably going to just keep going, getting worse there. So I think Utah, not the best team on the road. Utah's been okay on the road actually, but LA's just been dominant at home. So and it's a 1-game road trip for Utah. And sometimes with those happen, especially after a long layoff, it's kind of got like a go travel, play, and get back on the plane and come home. I could see this just not being a good vibe for Utah, whereas the Kings just get to have their routine here. This is another one that I'm big on here. This is probably my after the Winnipeg puck line. This is the other one I'm probably most excited about. Give me the Kings in regulation minus 115.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess like that would be the farthest I would go. I was thinking about maybe the under, but that just doesn't seem fair. I just don't think it's not enough for me to get on board. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. And plus, I mean, Utah, LA, I don't expect that to be if you're looking for something to keep you up on a Saturday night to prevent falling asleep, that's probably not the game for you. Probably in this one, probably not going to be too exciting, but you never know because you never know when these two get together. The back half of the Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader, Vancouver plus 140 at the Golden Knights minus 166 here. Looking at the total, if you think it's over 5.5, minus 125, under plus 105. I really don't have a play here. Vancouver has not been playing all that well. They got JT Miller out of the locker room. There wasn't all that much time before the Four Nations face-off for the dust to settle and see how things go. For me, it's tough to pick against Vegas at home. You could still get them in regulation at minus 105.
This is probably the game I'm going to fall asleep to. It's late at night. Good game. Kind of, not that any of these teams play boring. It's just, I don't know. The Canucks have not looked fantastic. Elias Pettersson went to this tournament, didn't look any better. So I'm having a hard time believing the Canucks will be anything good. I also I get that Quinn Hughes was not cleared medically to play. So yes, he was skating in a contact jersey, which was an improvement. He did, like I said, shed the brace on his hand. So it's getting better, but I don't know if he plays. And that would be a massive loss for the Canucks. So I feel like if he couldn't get medically cleared to play against Canada tonight, and he wanted to be there, then I feel like you don't have to rush him back for this game. It's not a need.
And Vegas plays a little bit of a physical brand too, so maybe that's not the guy you want his first game back against. I understand Vancouver's trying to make up some ground, but I'd rather keep Hughes out another game, let him come back a little bit later, make sure he's all healed up and ready to go. We do have some people, before we get out of here, though, we do have some fans checking in on the chat. State of Survival, one of our loyalist guys here. Did you hear the NHL plans to revert back to white jerseys being home jerseys again? I like it. Well, that's not confirmed yet. They did talk about that. That's a hill I'll die on. Go back to white jerseys at home. Like, I understand when they came out of the 2004-5 lockout, trying to increase jersey sales and all that stuff, and they decided to, because let's face it, you buy a jersey, your team, a lot of people buy both, but if you're going to buy one, usually you go with the color jersey. If you're going to get a Red Wing jersey, you go red. If you're going to get a Ranger jersey, you go blue, all that stuff. So they flipped to that, but to me, after time, it kind of got boring to just see white jerseys just coming into the building constantly. And, I had a Rangers ticket plan that evolved from like a quarter plan all the way up to a season ticket plan before I moved. And yeah, I mean, when the Red Wings come to town, I want to see red jerseys. When the Maple Leafs come to town, I want to see blue jerseys. When the Blackhawks come to town, I want to see those red jerseys. It's just like, and I don't think it necessarily needs to be a hard and fast rule. It can be like football where like, yeah, most of the time a team will wear their dark jersey at home. But hey, if it's a hot September game, I'm wearing white at home to make the other team wear their dark jerseys. Like, it can be fluid like that. I don't think it has to be a hard rule, but I would like to see more of the road team wearing their either color or third jerseys.
I'm going to be brutally honest here. Like, who cares?
And there's the other side of
it. This has like old grandpa The Simpsons yelling at the clouds kind of vibes. And I'm like, why don't you, first of all, I'm assuming both, like, just, I say this as somebody who like means like it doesn't matter. Why don't both teams just travel with both sets and just let the home team decide before, be like, hey, do you guys want to be white or do you want to be red? And then just let them, you know what I mean? Let them decide. And then the home team says, hey, we're wearing white tonight or red or alternate. And you can pick whatever one you want. And then just go with that.
Or just coordinate ahead of time. Like, you don't make the road team have to travel with everything. Just be like, hey, on this trip, you're going to have to bring this sweater for this game. Like,
yeah,
it's 2025. That stuff can be, it's not like back in the 90s where it's like equipment managers and putting stuff on planes and shipping stuff via DHL. Like, it's a different world now. So I think you could have.
Apparently, the Islander fans care. Do you care if they lose in dark orange or in white? Like, does it matter? I mean, it's an L's an L, right? I feel like, I don't know, just pick. Like, it's not that, to me, it's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. You know what I mean? Like, beer hockey, we show up, and sometimes, jerseys were this, both teams were in dark, and we're just like, all right. We had a set of like just red plain jerseys with a logo on. We're like, all right, we'll just wear red, and it doesn't matter. I feel it's just pick, or like you said before, pre-plan it before, the same way they do with their alternate jerseys. Maybe let more teams wear their alternates, right? Sell some of those jerseys. I don't know. It's not to me, it's not that big a deal.
You want to send Chris some hate mail about him not caring about jersey aesthetics, totalhockeynow@gmail.com, because I certainly care. I know State of Survival cares. And there are a lot of people that care. It would be nice, like, go down to San Jose. Okay, I'm going to watch a game. Like, the Golden Knights are in town. I get to see their gold jerseys. I mean, like, it's just, again, it's a minor detail, but the details go a long way. The little things go a long way. So nonetheless, Chris, you're the guy yelling at the cloud. I don't care.
I could care less. I could care less when the visiting team comes in, if they're wearing white or red. I don't care. Makes no difference.
It's fine. It's fine. You don't love hockey. That's what it boils down to. Frank checking in here. Ant's brother, Ant Rivera 86. What's up, Adam and Chris? It's Anthony's brother. Can't wait for the league to start again this weekend. Unfortunately, I'm going against Chris. I'm probably going to get his ass whooped. Accurate prediction, probably. Chris has a good team in that league.
Good reminder here by Frank, by the way. Fantasy hockey is rolling. You should probably set your lineups Saturday if you're playing fantasy hockey. First game is what, 12:30? So you might want to set, especially on the West Coast, you might want to set an alarm. Make sure to check no major injuries or anything, players being held out, any of the superstars we talked about earlier. I mean, I'm not gonna toot my own horn here, right? Obviously, but like, I feel like my team is going to do to Frank's team what Team Canada is going to do tonight to the United States. I'm just saying there might be a parallel there. So maybe.
You got to. I'm assuming maybe wings, boneless wings are in your future tonight. It'd be a real shame if you dropped one on your white jersey there, and it ruined the jersey. Like some of those sauce stains,
you can dry clean it,
especially white. Sometimes with white jerseys, it doesn't truly come out. Depending on the sauce. If you got some stubborn buffalo sauce in there or anything that's got a little oil, forget it. That is not coming out. So it'd be a shame if that happened to your very nice white Team Canada jersey. Right.
I will be out tonight to watch the game in a bar, buddy's bar. If you're in the better Montreal area, McKibben's Irish Pub, choose where you want to go. But I will be there. So maybe maybe a beer gets knocked over or something. Maybe no American beer, obviously. Maybe I don't know, something gets spilled on it. And even if I ruin it, then I'll just have to get another one. And I'll get it in red or in white because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Now, Chris has got the Slap Shots podcast coming up on Saturday. But before we get to that, it's going to be on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio in about 25 minutes. So if you want to check out his thoughts there, he'll be on the air there. But what do you got coming up besides a recap of the Four Nations on the next Slap Shots?
That is correct. Series 210 XM87. I'm going to go say some mean things to Howard Bender instead. Slap Shot podcast. We are going to do Puck Doku. We're going to do it tomorrow because I'm away this weekend to go see my mom because I love her. And I might be unhinged. So again, I'm just warning you in advance. The program with me. We're not hiding it. If Canada loses, maybe it's just a massive therapy session for the better part of a half hour. I don't know. I have no plan. If you want to see my breakdown of my talking points, it's literally the title and then it's blank because I have no idea how this is going to go. I have an idea of how I want it to go, but I don't know how it's going to go. So whatever the hockey gods provide me, we'll go with that. But it could be unhinged. Be ready.
He could either be suffering or insufferable. It's really no in between, one or the other.
I might just recap some of the mean quote tweets I've done. It might just be that. So, I mean, that's it.
That's it.
I don't know. I know. I'm so prepared for this. I am the opposite of what these guys playing tonight are doing.
It's gonna be a fun one on the Slap Shots podcast, no matter what happens tonight. And of course, Rip with myself and Mr. Jared Moore. We're ripping hockey back, we're doing all that good stuff. We dropped a new episode on Monday. Feel free to go check it out. A little bit of fun talking there as well. But let's drop. 2 hours away here. Getting ready. We're excited. We're out for Fuzzy Chris 91. I am not pumped about that at all. We're back with an all-new episode of Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel next week. Season begins. Stretch run. Fantasy playoffs. All that good stuff. It's coming up right around the corner. But talk to you after USA Canada. Go USA!